welcome back to Kid Explore Photography. And today I'm going to actually talk about my gear, but this time we're going to focus on travel photography gear. And then my next video, I'll talk about my gear for like events and lifestyle portraits and all of that. So if you're interested in any of this gear, I do have an Amazon shop, and I will have that link down below. So you can go over to my shop and pick up these things that will help you in your photography when you travel. So let's get into today's video. And before we do, if you have not already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified when I talk about all of my future photography videos, whether it is about gear, lessons to help you improve your photography, and whatever it may be. So let's get into today's video. So first up, let's talk about cameras. So that's the main part about travel photography, a camera. So I have two different cameras that I choose to take with me for, during my travels. And I take these two cameras because they're cheaper in price. So if something happens to it, like I drop it, gets wet, stolen, something like that, it won't be as tragic of a loss as taking something very expensive. So keep that in mind, because with travels, anything can happen. So there's two cameras that I could choose to take, and I don't usually take both of them. I usually only take one, and it depends on what I'm doing. But my main one, which I am using right now to record this video, that I have been taking for over the past year, is my Sony ZV-1 camera. I take this camera because also it does really great work at recording video and also taking photos. So I have dual purpose, so I can record my YouTube videos for my travel channel, Kid Explorer, as well as take really nice photos. It can only do but so much when it comes to photos because of the built-in lens that it has, but I definitely really love it and how I have multi-purpose with the camera, and the photos come out amazing still. Now, if I'm not going to do any vlogging for my travel channel, I may just take this Nikon D3200. It's fairly old DSLR camera, but I know how to work the camera and get the photos I would like with it. But it's not my preferred option. This is more of my backup option if for some reason I can't take my Sony camera. So like I said, with the camera that I'm using to record now, the Sony ZV-1, it has a built-in zoom lens, which works pretty great. But if I'm taking a Nikon DSLR D3200, my backup camera, I have different lens that I use. So my favorite lens is to use a 50mm prime lens. It's fixated so you can't zoom, but the photos are usually crisp. It gives me the ability to get up close and personal to certain things that I want. This is my favorite one to take because it's also smaller in size and it doesn't take up much space, because you know, during travel, it can take so much space and you have to carry so many different things. So you want to make sure you maximize your space to the best of your ability. But if I know I'm going to be specifically focusing on photography for a trip, I may take other lens depending on what I'm doing. So if I want to focus on wide landscapes, I may take a wide angle lens. And this wide angle lens goes from 18 to 55mm. So I can zoom, you know, further out or a little bit closer if I would like. And also I have this telephoto lens, which goes from 70 to 300mm. And this one is nice, especially like if I'm on a safari or something and I can't get close to animals, I can be further away and zoom in on that animal without endangering myself or making them feel like they're in danger because of humans approaching them. So those are my three options for lens. And it all depends on what trip I'm going on and what I will take. Now, another thing that I may take with me, and this is what I'll take if I'm taking my Sony ZV-1 camera, is a Zhiyun crane. And this is specifically important if I'm doing some vlogging and recording, because it's going to stabilize my camera when I walk around or whatever I'm doing, so I don't have camera shake. But it still will work if I need to take a photo. I can just turn off this the movement feature and still take a photo while it is planted on here. So this is more so for video recording, but if I'm using the dual purpose camera of the Sony ZV-1, I'm going to take this with me to help with vlogging. Now, next up, if I'm doing a lot of action shots, especially going underwater, I will take a GoPro. It's pretty old, and it's upside down too. It's pretty old in design, but it still works really well, especially when going underwater. And if I am going underwater or doing a lot of action things like zip lining or something, I will have a protective case here. As you can see, this protective case has seen its best days, but it will protect it from water. It seals really tightly, and it also has a strap so I can hold on it here around my wrist as well as hold it here. And obviously I take a charging port for it and backup memory cards and a second battery. Now, you don't have to have an expensive camera to do travel photography, or if you're just getting started, you don't have to have an expensive camera because most people have a smartphone. And I always have this with me, especially like if I'm on a tour with other people who aren't doing photography, or I'm out doing some active things that I don't want to carry a camera. I will have my phone with me because I do have a pouch for it if there's some water activities to protect it from getting wet. And I can also post photos more quickly when they're on my phone and really readily available. So even though my Sony camera does sync to my phone, and I can send photos from there too. But phones work perfectly. They don't have as many great features, and we'll talk about that in a later video. It still is not as great as a camera, but it's also good to get started on your phone so you can learn how to compose your photos, learn more about how to take a photo with your phone before you get a camera. This also comes in handy when doing travel photography. Another great thing to have is pouches to protect your travel equipment, your camera equipment, because I have a backpack where I put my cameras in, but a lot of times I may have other things in there. You don't want your equipment to get scratched or messed up. So these are different pouches. They actually came nested within each other. So as you can see, this one pulls out of here, and there's 4 different sizes. You can tighten them up so nothing falls out. And they also have clips. So if you want to clip them onto something like your pants or something, you can clip it on and you don't have an issue. So these are great for carrying your photography equipment in your backpack so it doesn't get scratched or messed up. Now this is important, especially if you're doing shots at night where it may have some motion, like dealing with the northern lights, and you can't mess up your photo with shape because you're holding your camera. You're always gonna have camera shape when you're holding it. So you need to have a tripod. This is also helpful if you want to do photos of yourself or take family portraits and you have no one to take a photo with you. You have a tripod and a remote or a timer on your camera. And so this is essential in some cases. Like when I went to take photos of the northern lights, this was important to have so I wouldn't have a shaky photo. So tripods are great. Kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you want to have multiple memory cards because you never know when a memory card could get messed up. It could lock up on you. You could lose it because they're so small. So you want to have multiple memory cards and have them in a protective case so they don't get messed up from just carrying them. And as you can see, I have some memory cards out right now. As you can see, I have memory cards stored in here so they're protected against, any type of wear and tear. Now you want to have an option to back up your photos. Sometimes I take a computer and I'll just back it up there, or I'll have an external hard drive where I'll back it up to, where I'm eventually going to back up my photos to anyway, is on an external drive. I don't leave them on the memory card and I don't leave them on my computer. And also I back up my external drive to the Amazon cloud. So if something happens to this, they are also on Amazon Photos, which is their cloud for photos, and I'll make sure that I have them there. So having them backed up, because you don't want to be in a place you're never going to visit again and the photos go corrupt or something is stolen and you lose all of your photos. So back them up, usually back them up at the end of the day of each day that you're on your trip, so you can make sure nothing happens the next day. And lastly, you want to make sure that you have batteries in their chargers. So this is the battery that just came out of my camera, but I do have backup batteries that I will take for any of the cameras that I take with me, as well as the charging ports. So I make sure I can charge them up at the end of the day and have a battery readily available just in case one runs out while I'm recording or taking photos. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video and learning about some of the gear that I take when I do travel photography. So if this travel photography guide was great for you, make sure you hit the like button, leave any questions or comments you have down below about this video, and I'll be sure to respond to them. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. It is free for you to do so, and it helps me provide more and better content to you in the future. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Make sure you share this video with your friends, family, and social media networks so they can get this information about some gear they can take when they do travel photography. And also, if you're interested in purchasing a print from my travels around the globe, make sure you head on over to keytoexplore.darkroom.com so you can purchase a photo for your space. That will be linked down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day or night wherever in the world you are. Bye.